The first entry in the filtering is the clipping to the camera. Now here I don't have any camera, but you can still clip. So I'm gonna go to my top view, and actually I'm gonna check clip to camera frostum like this. And whenever I do that, nothing happens because I need to either add a camera or activate auto camera clipping. So if I choose auto camera clipping, then whatever my camera is doing over here, or my, let's call it a virtual camera or my perspective camera, you see the result update. And what this is doing is restricting the generation of the clones to that camera view depending on the camera frostum value. So if you reduce the frostum, you are narrowing down the generation of the clones. If you increase it, you expand it up until you have all the clones generated. So the default value of 0.5 is a good value to use. Note that when you do that, the trees are, or the clones are generated at every iteration or every change in your scene. This might slow things down, so you can actually create a camera instead of using auto camera clipping. I'm gonna create a target camera, and I'm gonna use this camera for the camera link. And now whenever I move that camera, it's only then a scene redraw will happen. But here I see that there is no scene redraw. You can go back and check interactive, and what this will do is make the update happen automatically, while it might slow down the scene interactivity. So here, this is something that you can use, but note that whenever you do use it, whenever you do use the interactive mode, it might slow down things a bit in case you had a lot of clones, or in case you were using the actual geometry. Here I'm using the line representation of the tree. In case I was using the actual geometry, it might slow things down more than the way they're happening now. So either uncheck interactive, and whenever you want an update, just update the distribution, or just place your camera and render, and you will get the proper clipping for the camera in case you wanted to do that. So here, that's the camera frostum. Now we have a function where we can actually remove clones after a certain distance from the camera. And this is the camera far clip. In case I check this, I can change this distance, the camera far clip. If I reduce it, then beyond a certain distance, which is this one here, I would have no more clones. So that way I make sure that I only have, let's set it to interactive, I only have clones wherever the camera is shooting. So that's the far distance of the camera. So let's uncheck this for now. Backface culling is important in case you wanted to actually remove any clones which are not facing your camera. So for this, I'm gonna increase the clone count just to have more trees. We can display them as points if you want. And if I go to filtering and choose backface culling, then the trees or the clones that are not facing the camera will be removed. So you can actually increase this value. Now looking at this from the camera view should not make any difference except for at the edges in case you really increase this value. But otherwise, you'd be saving on some generated clones. Now these are nice features to have, but make sure that you don't have any popping whenever you animate the camera if you are creating an animation. So here, for example, you might get some popping for the clones, so you have to play with the camera frostum and the backface culling in case you use that, so that you don't get any popping. To be on the safe side, in case you are animating the camera, do not use backface culling. That's the first thing. And increase slightly the frostum so that you don't have any popping out within the render region. So that's it for the camera First, I'm going to uncheck this and go to the filter by vertex map. What this will do is actually generate the clones according to a vertex map that I would have on the distribution geometry. So here, going back to select the distribution geometry, and to create a vertex map, I need to make it editable. I'm going to go to character and paint, and what this will enable you to do is actually create a vertex map. So here, I'm going to create a vertex map like this, for example, the letter C. All I have to do now is, first of all, to see the trees, I'm going to uncheck points. So now the trees are generated everywhere. So if I go to my filtering and check filter by vertex map and bring this vertex map down here, then the trees will only be generated over this vertex map. So if I select it, I see that the trees are forming the letter C. So what other options do we have? We can invert the vertex map so that the clones are generated outside the vertex map. And you can change the threshold, which is the strength of the border of the vertex map. The other thing that you can do is actually change the scale at the borders of the vertex map. So here I can go like this, increase the vertex map effect scale, and this will scale down the trees or the clones at the borders of the vertex map. This is especially useful in case I was scattering grass and I want the borders of the grass at the vertex map to be scaled down. Then I'd be using this scale value over here. Now this of course depends as well on the smoothness of the vertex map. So if I grab the vertex map, go to the vertex map tool, and choose to smooth out the vertex map and choose apply all, then I would have smoothing. So if I go back to my MultiCloner, update the distribution, I'm going to see that I have more scaling whenever the map is starting to fade out. So if I play with the threshold here, I would actually see the scaling happen properly. Okay, so that's the filter by vertex map.